What up? What up? What up? It is me. It is Paul Jarrett, your host for Walk It Off. And we are here on a special Friday evening. Got to change the schedule of the show just to make sure we can get you somebody in here that's been on the ground at LSU Fall Camp. John Eads isn't with us just yet, but he'll be here in a few minutes. So until then, you got me. LSU Football Fall Camp has been, as we all knew, would be the talk of the town. It's been nothing else that anybody has wanted to talk about. There's a lot of speculation, but there's one thing about this fall camp that I'm particularly interested in asking John about, and it's the access that Lane Kiffin has been willing to give to the media, whether it be social media personalities like John Eads and Jacques Doucet, Tiger Bait with Mike Scarborough, like the limited access to fall camp. How has that progressed in your ability to cover fall camp like you used to? You've heard everybody talk about it this week. Brian Kelly gave out a ton of access to fall camp and other activities happening around LSU and this Tiger football program. But why talk to me about it when we have the man himself, the GOAT, friend of the program, John Eads? How you doing, my guy?
What's going on? I'm doing well. Haven't talked to you in a little while.
I know, man. It's just a lot has changed. Did you move? It seems like you got a new place. You
Background looks different. I did move. I moved from the overpass area to off the Highland exit off I-10, kind of by the water park.
Oh, yeah.
Woodlawn High School. Got my own place now. So, yeah. I didn't buy a house. Granted,
going from a roommate to your own solo place, like you probably feel the same way as I do. You will never have a roommate ever again until it's your wife. Like
that's the plan. Yes, and you know, enjoyed my roommates, fun guys, but I work a weird schedule and I'm a weird guy, and so probably best for everybody if I just kind of did my own thing, you know. So
I wouldn't say you're a weird guy. I could imagine that schedule following programs, either following the high school programs or baseball in particular. They have so many games. It's got to be such like I don't know how you keep a sleep schedule to stay healthy.
Well, that's the hard part is that, you know, Saturday, Sunday, those are the days off for most people, you know, but for me, those are days where I'm working, and usually I'm going to bed late and I'm getting up early because, you know, like baseball, for example, Saturday night game ends at, I don't know, 10, 11 o'clock. I'll probably work till midnight. And then Sunday, the game starts at 1 o'clock. And you got to, you know, be there early and make sure you're not missing anything that's going on before the game and stuff. And I like to get up and, you know, get the day started. And so I don't like to just kind of roll out of bed and go to work, you know. So it's hard, especially football season too, you know. LSU plays a night game, working probably till 11, 12, and then you want to get up and get something done before the NFL games start. There's a volleyball match sometimes early, fall ball, baseball. I mean, it just, you know, it's tough, man. It's down and up. So,
but I can tell you this for like I've told you this before. I tell you all the time, you're the hardest working man in Louisiana when it comes to sports broadcasting. I don't care what anybody says. I love Jacques. You outwork him in my mind. I love Jacques. You outwork him.
Well, I'm young, you know, and he's got a girlfriend, and he's been doing this for years, and he's the boss. So this is my time to, you know, pay my dues. I don't mean to say I don't enjoy what I do, but you know what I mean. Dirty work, get my hands dirty, and enjoy kind of just being able to devote all my time to my job before I have hopefully a wife and kids and, you know, bigger responsibilities at some point.
Trust me, it changes a lot when you get those. Like right now, I've changed. Like ever since me and you've talked together on here, I have a new job. I'm working in a different area. I'm not with my kids, and it's hard. But I love talking baseball with you. But I've been dying to talk to you about football. I've been waiting for this moment to come because I know you're a football guy. You're a football guy first and foremost. I want to ask you this because I was kind of talking about it before you came in. Lane Kiffin has changed the access that you guys had comparable to Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly kind of gave y'all free reign. Y'all had delineated times, but it's kind of like open access. How has the limited access Lane Kiffin has given affected your way you feel like you can cover the program?
Yeah, we can't see as much. Like in the BK days, especially last year, kind of similar. They let us go in and videotape beginning of practice, 15, 20 minutes. And what they do now is they make us leave. We can't stay, watch anything else. We can't even see the first period where they come out and it's first team offense against first team defense thudding, second team offense, second team defense thudding on a tempo, on script. We got to videotape and see that. It's the first period of practice or second, whatever, during the spring. And that was cool because you could kind of see, hey, this guy's here on the depth chart. This guy's here. You could even see like some one-on-ones and Husan Longstreet throw a jump ball. Landon Clark, keep and run on a read option. Or you could see the D-line get in there and get a simulated sack, et cetera, et cetera. We can't see that anymore. And that's something they've changed since the spring. So maybe they saw some things that we were posting or sharing and they didn't like that, or they're just trying to keep the rotations, the depth chart things close to the vest. It's their call. I can't do anything about it. I mean, it's their team. It's their product. It's their practice field. They get to call the shots, and we just kind of go with it. But when BK was here, he would let us sometimes film for 20 minutes, and then we couldn't film anything, but we could stay and watch and take notes. And it was really insightful to see, how the coaches operate, how the players operate, who's making moves up the depth chart, who are some underrated players that are really going to be impactful this season. And unfortunately, a lot of that intel that we were able to gather rendered meaningless because of injuries and bad offensive line play and, maybe a little bit of bad coaching and stuff like that, which is a bummer because, there's a lot of cool stuff that we saw that we wrote down in our notebooks that we just didn't ever see for one reason or another when the season started, So it kind of is a bummer that we don't get those opportunities anymore because, our job is to, at any given time, do what fans can't do because they have their own 9-to-5 jobs, and that's go to practice and be locked in on this stuff. But now you kind of need to go based on word of mouth and interviews and press conferences, and maybe you're lucky enough to have some inside sources that are willing to share some information and intel with you. It is a bummer we don't get as much access, but perhaps that means there's a better product. Who knows? Not that we should care because we're not fans. We're just here to report on things, in a the word's blanking me, but, we can't unbiased. Yes, unbiased way. So definitely makes our job harder, but it makes you maybe read into tea leaves more and notice some smaller things that typically you wouldn't really look into and think about much.
Lane Kiffin strikes me like you've heard the stories about Bill Belichick and the Cowboys, right? How all these NFL teams will cordon off the areas around their practice facilities. Like it's crazy how the Cowboys have an apartment building right above their practice facility, all crazy.
Yeah.
Then Belichick worried about planes flying over, recording practice. I was thinking about all that access, the limited access that media is getting now, and I was like, Lane's definitely one of those guys who thinks that. Like he probably got that from his dad. And I even thought about going over down to River Road, just a little bit further down, just getting some binoculars and sitting on top of the levee. And just kind of like doing that. They probably send LSU PD over to grab you.
Yeah, maybe. I don't even know if you could see from maybe you could from that far away. You might be able to get a somewhat of a vantage point.
Oh, they got some strong binos out there, buddy. You can see some things.
It's kind of crazy because NFL teams, they give more access. Like the Saints training camp, like you can go and film. I haven't been in a couple of years, but our New Orleans TV crew, and sometimes we'll go up there. You can film for like, from what I understand, 20, 30 minutes. You can watch a lot more stuff. It's open locker room. It's it's a lot more stuff that you can do. It's kind of crazy that you get more access with the NFL and less with college. It didn't always used to be like that, but
there's probably not that standard deviation of talent in game planning, I guess, in the NFL versus college.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we'll pick on Ole Miss because they're easy to pick on, right? The standard deviation between, better yet, let's do Joe Sloan in Kentucky. Kentucky comes, there's a bigger standard deviation between Joe Sloan and Charlie Weiss. I would assume, personally, from watching Joe Sloan last year. Where in the NFL, you have an OC on this team, OC on this team. Their talent and their game plan ability is probably pretty neck and neck and close to one another in their ability. So there's really no hiding anything. Like I could see Lane pulling tricks like, hey, we're going to have the first team come out. We're going to have these guys. That's our second team wide receivers. Like I could, like in front of the media, I could see Lane kind of pulling those strings and pulling those games because Lane doesn't want to give an edge to anyone from what I can tell.
Yeah. I don't even know if it would help anybody. It's kind of crazy how close to the vest they keep things in college, whereas the NFL, these are our players. This is what we do. And it's kind of all out there. You know what I mean? So it's kind of a bummer. That's why I like baseball and some of these other sports is because they don't limit the access as much. And, the access is how you cover the team, right? I mean, that's our job for the most part. So it is what it is. But I will say, from what I understand, it's more access than people got in Oxford that work in television. The coordinators will do press conference availabilities like they did when Kelly was here. And Kiffin, I guess, hadn't done that before. It was always just him, and nobody could talk to the coordinators. So it'd be cool to ask Charlie Weiss Jr. some questions. And Blake Baker, we've talked to a bunch over the years, but there's always things you can ask Blake, and he's, he gives good answers to stuff. So,
speaking of Coach Baker, so we all kind of have an idea. Like you'd have a better idea than I do, or most of the fans do, because you've seen him, you've talked to him more. I've always thought of him as a fiery guy. Like, he's the player's coach who holds him accountable. But everything I've seen coming out of this camp is kind of not saying he's not. I'm just saying seems more keyed in this year. Seems more on the guys. And I've heard reports about them, the defense kind of getting run over sometimes in spring camp, and him not wanting to do that, not wanting to have that happen ever again. Has Blake Baker's coaching personality or his coaching mannerisms changed this fall comparative to years before?
I don't think so. I think it's the same, man. He puts the cleats on. He's out there. He might be a little bit older than these players, but if you were watching from the levee, you might think he was another player because he's doing these drills with the guys. Like I have videos of him giving more effort than some of the players even in the instructions of the drill, and even at practice the other day, they're doing their opening session where they do a down up and they rally to the football and somebody's the rabbit. He's running with the guys, I can sense some intensity though. I'm not sure if it's more. I'm not in there all the time. He just kind of strikes me as an intense guy all the time, but also has that side to him where when things are happening and things are going well, like, he's fun to be around. Like you see videos of him celebrating post game and after a big play, you know what I mean? Like he's up there and he's high-fiving and shoulder bumping the players and stuff. But the other day at practice, I tweeted this too. The first team defense went out for that period and they didn't take the field, get to their spots quick enough, I guess, or efficiently enough. And so he told them to go back and do it again, So I don't think they're accepting anything less than 100% effort and intensity at these practices. And the same thing happened on Thursday too. It wasn't Blake this time. It was one of the assistant coaches, analysts, like on the other side of the field. He didn't like how the defense took the field. He made them go back and they started the drill all over again, So that's stuff you like to see. We're not accepting half effort, half speed. Everything you do should be full speed. And that's the difference, between being a team that is beating Texas A&M at the end of the first half and a team that beats Texas A&M at the end of the first half and the second half. That
dreaded run it again.
Yeah.
Because just as well as I do from fall practice, you hear run it again. And you're just like, what happened? And then you start looking around the huddle, like which one of you is causing me out here sweating and dying right now?
Yeah. You don't want to be that guy.
No, you don't want to be that guy. I got to ask about Coach O. It seems like he's not doing a ton out there from what I'm seeing, but his presence is palpable.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of presence has O had out there? We know he's not the defensive line coach. He's like what a special assistant or something like that. Or
recruiting special assistant, but also like the defensive line analyst, support staff.
What has his presence been out there with the guys? You see him cutting watermelons, which I can't think of anything better than cutting watermelons other than handing out, trays of crawfish. Yeah. What has his presence been like out there on the practice field?
Yeah, he's there, and you notice him. He sticks out. I usually videotape the defense, and I'm panning around at the beginning, just kind of looking for interesting things or some video to get, and I'm panning. Oh, Coach O, he just kind of seems to always attract the attention. You know what I mean? But I think that what stood out to me based on what I've seen is that he's understanding what his role is, and he's not trying to do too much. He's not trying to have this ego about him. You know, like he's letting Kevin Peoples run the drills as the defensive tackles coach, right? Mm-hmm. And he's there, and he's being vocal, and he's helping out, but he's behind the drill and letting Kevin run things, you know? So that's something you might worry about. This is a guy that led this team as a head coach to the national championship, maybe the greatest college football team ever. And things have happened since then. Now he's back with the program. It's so easy for him to be like, look, I'm the guy. I've done this before. Kevin Peoples, you've never done this. I have. So I'm going to step in here and run this drill respectfully. That's not what he's done based on what I've seen. I'm not in there all the time, but based on what I've seen, he's not doing that. And he's still getting vocal and shouting things to the D tackles, the D linemen, Richard Anderson, and so on and so forth, guys that he probably has had relationships with for years through recruiting. But I don't think he's like overstepping boundaries. You know what I mean? So, and he has a wealth of knowledge to offer, you know, like he understands this position in and out. So if there's things that Kevin Peoples needs help with filling in the cracks, or he misses a little thing, because there's a lot of guys you need to watch. I mean, they're doing drills. There's 2 or 3 guys going at once. It's so easy to miss a fine technique or something like that that someone's not understanding or implementing. Coach O can kind of fill in there, I feel like. So, yeah,
and it's so easy to forget that Coach O was the head coach of the 2019 team. Like I could, even though it's so weird to say, it's easy to forget. Stepping back in that building as a national championship head coach with the team that you're in the building with, coming back as some would say a smaller role, you really have to. I'm happy to hear he's kind of taking a step back and letting things go as they may. I can't wait to hear what happens middle of the season when I'm sure they're jawing already. Defensive coaches, offensive coaches, bringing in some fire to the guys. Coach O, I bet, has some lines that he's going to drop on guys. Half of them won't understand it, but I bet he's got some lines that are just legendary.
Yeah, probably. I haven't seen a lot of that interaction yet because, again, they don't let us see that competitive stuff, and he wasn't here in the spring. So we'll have to look for that, you know, on game day and stuff.
I wasn't going to ask this. I didn't think about it until just now because I started thinking about Joe Sloan again, and I had to change my mind. I thought about Charlie Weiss. What is his mannerisms on the practice field? Have you noticed that? Because for some reason, when I think about, if I picture what I think Charlie Weiss would be like on a practice field, it's a very far departure from his dad.
Yeah.
He'd be more cerebral, kind of like iPad here, iPad here. Someone's holding the tablet in front of him, and he's kind of just doing this. Like, what is Charlie Weiss's presence on that field?
Yeah, I've watched him once. It was in spring, and he was installing or running a drill, and that's the only time I've really seen him, you know, being vocal and kind of taking charge based on what I've seen. Lane Kiffin kind of described him as a wonder kid, a nerd at Media Day, right? Yeah. So he kind of strikes me as a Kellen Moore type. And Kellen doesn't say a whole lot. He doesn't say a whole lot of substance, but he's an offensive genius. You know, he's not some big personality. Like Dan Campbell, big personality. Kellen Moore, not a big personality, but he's a football genius, and he just kind of works not behind the scenes, but like in the shadows, you know, but he still gets things done, you know? So that's kind of the way that I think about him. Similar to Blake Baker, just a different coaching style, but also I think a head coach in waiting from an offensive perspective.
Yeah, the description between Kellen Moore and Matt Campbell, like I think of Matt Campbell and I was trying to think of coaches on staff. You'd have to combine Blake Baker and Ed Orgeron to get Matt Campbell. That's how off the wall that man is. And yeah, Charlie Weiss, Kellen Moore, such a great comp to him.
The first one that came to mind. There's others, but that's the first one that came to mind. Yeah.
So
it's just an X's and O's guy, you know.
Oh yeah, like he probably, I would assume he's in the booth 3 plays ahead. Like you kind of have to be in football anyway. Like I get that, but he's 3 steps ahead of somebody else period.
Yeah.
He said
I
enough.
went back and go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, good. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I went back and watched the LSU Ole Miss game from last year because I just kind of wanted to get a refresher on what his offenses look like, and how he likes to call plays. And it's just insane how easy he makes it, for the quarterback. I mean, it's quick, it's RPOs. Obviously, when you have a run game, that helps. On a 3rd and long, it's the first read, and that guy just finds a way to get open. I mean, I think that this marriage with Sam Levitt's going to work out really good. I do. It's just they don't require the quarterback to do too much. It's quick. It's RPO based. It's just quick decisions. That's it.
Only thing I ask Charlie Weis not to do for my own blood pressure, no wide receiver screens. Just I don't want to see one this year.
Yeah. LSU ran a lot of those last year. I'll tell you that much. Even in that Ole Miss. But funny enough, those were some of their best plays. Some of their best plays were screens because, I mean, that's all they could. And teams figured that out as the season went on. But early on in the season, Clemson, Ole Miss, so on and so forth.
The Clemson one, I remember the Chris Hilton 4th down wide receiver screen.
That one
it's just
yeah. And that's why you need variability and versatility in your offense. That was the issue with LSU last year. They didn't have a vertical or deep passing game because of Nuss's injury. They couldn't run the ball because of the offensive line. So that's kind of like you're playing the video game and you're only allowed to run short passes or screenplays, which in a video game could work depending on who's playing. But in real life, probably not going to work, especially in the SEC.
Probably not. I thought about you. So up until recently, I was playing a lot of college football 27. And I was playing Ultimate Team, and I was I was trying to get better. So now I'm going to get Eadsy on here, and I'm going to play him, and I'm going to beat him one day. I promise you, I haven't gotten to that place yet. I am not there. I'm not challenging you. I got online once and got skull drug across the field, and I just went, okay, maybe I'm too old. I'm going to put that over there. I'm going to let it go.
Yeah.
So speaking of Sam Levitt,
I haven't played in months. I'll tell you that much.
You haven't played it in months? Well, Jacques just keeps you too busy, man. He just keeps you too busy. Speaking of Charlie Weis and the marriage with Sam Levitt, speaking of that marriage, the other day on this show, I comped Sam Levitt to a better Jackson Dart. What is your opinion on that statement?
I'm a few seconds behind, by the way. So if you've been sitting,
you're good. You're good. No, you're good.
I could see that. Their games, their styles are similar. I want to say that Levitt maybe has more athletic upside, though, as crazy as that might sound. And I don't know that he's an NFL guy right now. I think he still has some things to prove, especially coming off the injury. But, I mean, Sam Levitt, watching some of the highlights from his time at Arizona State, and I've seen Jackson Dart hurdle people and do all that stuff because I watched them play LSU a couple of years ago in 23 and obviously in 24. But I think Levitt has more ability to be a game breaker if he gets out in space and extends plays. And Dart might be a better passer at this point in time. Still want to see a little bit more fine-tuning and precision there from Levitt. But I think he might have more athletic upside in terms of being able to extend plays and stuff like that. And Dart's dual threat too, but I think that Levitt has this extra little degree that he can get to.
Now, I've heard some other people kind of try to compare Levitt's athletic ability and speed to Jaden Daniels, and I can't get there yet. Jaden was on such a different level comparatively to anyone else. The run he makes up the left sideline against Florida, just that one right there is insane. The run he makes on Alabama in overtime, absolutely insane. But the reason why I made that comp with Dart was that exact reason of, I don't think in Charlie Weis's offense with a guy like Sam Levitt, you're going to have how do I want to put this? And I don't want to put down on Nuss, and I'm not doing that here, but with Nuss, it was kind of like read, throw it away. With Levitt, it feels like it's going to be read, move, read, take off. We wanted Nuss to take off. He couldn't do it because of the injury. But Levitt, like, I don't know, man. I told Carter this. I'm not a big projection guy. Like, people were saying Curiel for Golden Spikes, and I was like, I don't know about that. I see Levitt going to New York at least for the Heisman ceremony.
Yeah, it's possible. It's in the realm of possibility. I'm not ready to go there yet, but there is the upside of that. Like, right, I'm doing a lot of fantasy football mock drafts right now, getting ready for the season, and there's a lot of guys you could envision things going well and, like, hitting the ceiling. And Levitt has the ability to do that. I think that Sam Levitt offers you a higher floor and ceiling than Garrett Nussmeier did personally, just because of the extra elements that he can add to the game, mixed with possibly a better play caller and a better system. Like, there are so many things that you can do with a dual threat quarterback that if you don't have one, you can't do. Like, at any point in time, you can call up a quarterback draw. At any point in time, a busted play can turn into a big play. And that's what Jaden Daniels excelled at. You know what I mean? So there's just extra ways to attack a defense. You really have no limitations. Now, I don't know that Levitt's as talented or as crisp of a passer as Nussmeier is when he's fully healthy. But I almost would rather have the ability to do both things than do one extremely well, because we've seen teams win national championships with both styles of players. Personally, though, I think that there's just extra things that you can do that open up other things when it's clicking that Levitt can bring. So yeah, it's possible that he's a one and done, like Jaden was a two and gone. And obviously that second year went really, really well. Same for Joe Burrow. And there's plenty of examples, but Levitt has the ability, and they made the investment in him, which isn't an end all be all, but it's something to note, to come in, have one good year, and in kind of a wide open draft class. Like, there's some guys that have a lot of potential that came back and stayed in college for this upcoming draft class. There's a possibility, though. Levitt's already proven he can do it previously. He needs to do it again, that he could skyrocket with a big year into being one of those guys, and there's plenty of guys that have done that in one season. Look at Fernando Mendoza, for example.
Oh, 100%. And like, I heard one person recently say, well, Levitt's not only a 2-year guy, he's a 3-year guy. Levitt would not, if Levitt is here in 3 years, something has went terribly, terribly, terribly wrong. When it comes to backup, we have a question in the chat from Todd Davis asking who's the second string quarterback. I think, and I want to get your opinion on this. I see Hassan Longstreet, and I know I've heard reports that he's had some issues with placement of the ball or throwing some ducks. I see Hassan Longstreet being a second string quarterback, and I kind of see Landon Clark in kind of a Taysom Hill type role. What is your opinion on that?
I don't think Clark sees the field personally. He had some moments in the spring, but Longstreet's a guy that really popped off to me, especially in some of those. I mentioned before we didn't get to see a lot. We're not going to get to see a lot in fall. They did let us come and just watch some scrimmages without filming, but taking notes, which was nice. And it gave us a chance to see Longstreet in action as the guy, because Levitt obviously was not playing in these settings. And the last scrimmage we were able to go to and see, he had a great connection with Jackson Harris. Those guys connected on like 3 different touchdown plays on post routes and in the red zone and stuff like that. And I've heard a lot of people criticizing Longstreet and not thinking that he has an ability to see the field and be an impact player this year if needed and in the future. And I just disagree. I mean, my eyes tell me differently. And what I've written down based on what I've seen just tells me differently. He's got a ton of upside. He's a 5-star recruit and was at USC for a year. And that doesn't mean he's going to be a stud, but I mean, I've seen it with my own eyes. Even in those opening periods of spring practice, man, he's throwing up jump balls perfectly placed to Malik Elzy, getting out in space, throwing on the run. Like, there's a lot of ability there in Longstreet. And he may not be ready this year to like command an offense every drive, every play. But in spot duty, if Levitt gets hurt, God forbid, knock on wood, or something like that happens, or you're blowing a team out, man, I think he has a ton of tools And if there's anybody that can get it out of him, I think it's Charlie Weiss and Lane Kiffin. I think he kind of fits the mold of what they want in a quarterback. So I'm a big Longstreet guy personally.
I love to hear that, man. I really do. Like, and it's what even just a simple fact if he was at USC. USC wanted him back. It was a dogfight to get Houston Longstreet out of the portal to LSU. Now, kind of moving over to the wide receiver group, the only thing, like, as far as like offensive line, the only groups I'm really looking at and kind of like trying to look at reports on the wide receiver group, the only thing I'm really looking for is there gelling, is there connection, is there that camaraderie amongst a group and Sam Levitt. We know they went and had the camp they went to during media days, and this past week right before fall camp, they went and worked with a quarterback guru that's worked with guys like Patrick Mahomes and had that time. What does the wide receiver room look like as far as working together and working with Sam Levitt and their grasp of the offense? Because they're all learning a new offense, basically the whole room.
Yeah, all we're seeing right now is routes on air. So that can't tell you a ton, but you see the blueprint for what they're trying to do. And I will say this again, I've said it several times on many different places, that Trinidad Chambliss was a mid-year enrollee at Ole Miss. He didn't get to campus until the summer. And obviously, and he didn't even start the season. Austin Simmons was the starter for the first game and a half, and he came in against Kentucky, and from there, the job was his. So obviously, his chemistry wasn't like, I've been playing with these guys since Little League. Like, that's just not what it was. But obviously, they found something, and it worked. So I think that chemistry is important, but people kind of overrate it, in my opinion. Like last year, Garrett Nussmeier probably had great chemistry with a lot of those receivers. Like, he'd been throwing balls to Chris Hilton for years, and a bunch of guys that were in that wide, like Kyle Parker, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
But if you can't physically perform and the system doesn't allow you to perform, chemistry don't matter. You know what I mean? Like, it might look good when there's no defense, but when there's defense and there's injuries and there's no offensive line and there's no run game, that chemistry goes out the door. The timing goes out the door. There is no timing. You know what I mean? So that's something they're building, and that's good. I can't speak on it because I haven't seen the live reps with Levitt as the quarterback. But as long as you're putting your guys in position to make plays and get open, you're making life easy on the quarterback, and you have a run game, like, it's really not that difficult. It's throwing the ball, it's catching the ball, the same way you've been doing it for years. Sure, Hassan Longstreet might throw with a more sidearm delivery. Levitt's maybe more over the top. Maybe it's a tighter spiral. Maybe it's a little bit faster. But catching a ball is catching a ball. Passing a ball is passing a ball. Like, I don't think we need to overcomplicate this all that much. And the wide receiver room is very deep. And that's how it was recruited. They didn't go out and pay him $5 million to one receiver. They kind of spread the wealth a little bit to a bunch of different talented guys that have a lot of different capabilities. Some are taller, some are shorter, some are quicker, some are more agile, so on and so forth. They're all going to have their own little roles. I don't know that there's going to be 2-3 guys that separate. I think you would prefer that. But Lane Kiffin's always just had a long running list of receivers that can go out and make plays and impact the football game. It's not just the same 1 or 2 guys, So I think we're going to see 6 to 7, no pun intended, guys perform in that tight end and wide receiver room, that pass catching room. And there's a lot of different cooks that are going to be in the kitchen.
That makes me happy. And you're right. I'll say this, I overblow it. Because when we're at fall camp, at fall ball this year for baseball, which your fall just got so much busier. Oh, we're not even going to touch baseball at night, but dude, it's going to be insane. But I'll watch how's the interactions, how's the chemistry amongst the team, and it's like it matters, but really it doesn't. Especially in baseball. I think you have personally the best job on the field as far as at WAFB, because we all know Jacques on the offensive side. I see him putting the clips out. You being focused on the defensive side, I can only imagine that machine just has to, like, it's like you took your car in for a service and it drives better. How has that defensive side looked to you while you've been there with this new grouping of people?
Yeah, and again, sorry, I feel like you're asking these questions, and I'm like 5 seconds.
No, you're fine.
My internet's bad. I had AT&T, I had Cox. If anybody has any suggestions on a better internet, the one I had in my old place was great, and I came over here, and now it's like it doesn't want to work, and it's really frustrating. So if anybody has a suggestion for a place that has good Wi-Fi that's not $5 trillion, I know. Well, I try to upload stuff, and it takes I'm uploading a 1-minute video of practice. It literally takes 5 minutes. Like that should not be happening in 2026, and it's very irritating for my job because I have like 10 of those I need to get out. So that really adds up. But anyways, yeah, I mean, it's basically the framework's the same defensively. I mean, Corey Raymond's back. Jake Olson's back. They bring in Chris Kiffin to coach linebackers. Blake Baker focused with the stars, the star position in the spring. Kevin Peoples, defensive tackles. And then Sterling Lucas from South Carolina has been one of the best defensive end edge recruiters, coaches in the country. But in the middle of the defense, I mean, it's Devon Keys, it's Whit Weeks, guys that have been in the program for a long time. Up front, Dominic McKinley, Sean Washington, a few guys that have been in this program for a while. Defensive end room, Kalaj Cobbins, Damian Shanklin. It's a mixture of portal players, but guys that have been here and understand how Blake Baker operates and how LSU operates. In the DB room, DJ Pickett, Tamarcus Cooley, Jace Thomas, the list goes on. Deshaun Spears. I just like the blend of what was here and this staff keeping what they liked that was here. Not everybody was kept. There's a few players that could have left that they were able to keep. There's a lot more players that left and are at other schools that, for whatever reason, they didn't want to stay or the staff encouraged them not to stay. And the same goes with staff members. So I think maybe in that process, I don't want to be disrespectful, but trimmed off some of the fat and added in some more of the, pure, lean, what you want to this defense, And obviously there were some injuries, which you hate. Gabe Relaford could maybe come back. I saw a video of him running recently, so that's good, coming off a knee injury. Aiden Anding had the Achilles, and that was in the spring. I don't know how long that takes to rehab from. Maybe he could come back towards the end of the season. So you're a little thin at some positions, and you're unproven at D-tackle. The freshmen are starting right now, or that's the way it's trending. But I like that the framework is there, and you're not completely starting over, quote unquote, on both sides of the ball. Like you have a foundation, at least defensively, that you can build upon, and that probably you'll need to lean on in the first game, just like you did against Clemson last year when you won that game. The offense had to do a little bit, but it was really the defense that won them that game, in my opinion, and the special teams a little bit too, and it could be similar this year while that offense tries to mesh and to gel. And who knows, maybe they don't need that time to mesh in the gel. But, usually that's the case. The defense is ahead of the offense, and at some point they meet each other in the middle, and maybe one is better than the other towards the end of the year. But, yeah, I like what they've done with the defense, and they're lucky that Blake Baker decided to turn down some head coaching jobs to stay, because he could be a head coach right now in Uptown, but he's here for what could be one last year as the DC.
He could be the head coach in Uptown. He could be the head coach in Memphis. I said the other night, if Lane Kiffin wasn't a possibility when it came to hiring, I wouldn't have been mad at seeing Blake Baker getting the head coaching job here at LSU. People said he wasn't ready for it. I don't think there's a job that man isn't ready for, to be completely honest with you. When you got that assignment, I don't know the way you think, but when you got that assignment, what part of the defense were you the most excited to watch and get some eyes on for?
Yeah, I really kind of don't think about it in the sense of what am I excited to see, more so what's going to be the best video and what's kind of right in front of me.
No, not even
usually
that,
that's the defensive tackles and the linebackers.
Okay, you got it. My bad. You got it. Defensive tackles and linebackers.
Got it. No, you're
my bad, bro. My bad.
Yeah. So kind of what's right in front of me, because the offensive line is so far away, it's hard for us to watch them a whole lot. So yeah, that from a video and TV standpoint, that's kind of what my thinking is what's going to be the best video for us to have and to store and stuff like that. But I always try to look for the star players, like the Ty Benefields, the Whit Weeks, the TJ Dotterys, the Prince Will Uman Mielens, the Lamar Browns, really it's all exciting to me. I don't know. I mean, there's always a storyline you can pick and choose from in there. And again, what we're seeing, you can't make any overarching predictions or have any crazy takes based on, defensive tackles hitting sleds and edges running through like cylinders, I don't know, and linebackers backpedaling and catching a ball on air. But, just you can see Whit Weeks moving and he's back from injury and that's good. And you can see Ty Benefield showing off his vertical jump and Deuce Gerald's like beating guys off the snap with insane first step quickness. Like that stuff does translate to the real game, So that's what I would say. I'm really looking for the guys that I think are going to be big impact players, and just kind of picking up little tendencies like that.
Did your video finish uploading?
Well, yesterday it took forever.
Oh, I thought you were uploading one right now.
No. Because if I were, my computer probably would explode, and I would be 5 minutes behind whatever you're saying right now.
That happened to me last week. I was about to start, and my 13-year-old MacBook went done. Dunzo.
13 years. Impressive.
Yeah, but they stopped supporting it. But no, so like that's when you talk about Ty Benefield, because like if I could go watch practice right now, like I'd be interested in seeing Richard Anderson, Lamar Brown, kind of like the new faces coming in, how they're performing, how they're holding up against guys. If you could see that, which y'all can't, but like spring, how Richard Anderson was holding up against a guy who's been in D1 SEC football for time. Mm-hmm. But watching because to me, chemistry at the linebacker position does matter because you key off of one another, you kind of play off of one another. Watching the Daughtery Weeks, I know I'm not trying to undersell Devon Keys. He's a gangster.
Yeah.
But watching the chemistry between Daughtery and Weeks. Weeks looks like he slimmed up just a tiny bit. Maybe better to be a little lighter. He'd be a little healthier. And Daughtery, just watching him on film, watching the clips that have been put out, dude looks like a monster. He looks like a comic book character.
Yeah.
What have you seen with those two?
Yeah, I think the chemistry's there, and Daughtery was asked about it, or Weeks. I think it was Daughtery, about that and kind of how that would work, because this is a guy that led the SEC in tackles last year and isn't your average transfer newcomer to a team. Like he's a guy that Lane Kiffin, was like, hey, you're coming with me. He didn't get on the plane with him that day, but if that were possible, he would have gotten or made it happen that he got on the plane with him that day. Like when Matt Campbell left Iowa State for Penn State, he brought like his entire roster with him. I mean, it's kind of similar in that regard for Lane to LSU, but he didn't bring his whole roster. He just brought some of the best that he could get. He didn't get everybody, but as many as he could. And Daughtery was one of those guys. But I think the chemistry's there. Daughtery had good things to say about that and just his relationship with Whit and how that's developed and how they're friends. And, there shouldn't be any kind of egos there because Whit still has things to prove. And, Daughtery has things to prove too. He's still in college and still building his draft stock and stuff. But I will say, man, a media day, and this isn't everything, but man, he was busting out of that suit. He is big. He's a presence. And that, like, he just reminds me of that classic linebacker. Like, the first name that comes to mind is this guy that played at Florida. Jared Davis, I believe his name was, 2017 or so. I believe that's what his name is. Just a big guy, a thumper that moves around the field. Played for the Lions for many years. That's who Daughtery kind of reminds me of. And look, I just want to say this. People don't know how to read English these days, I guess. I tweeted a video of these two guys. And look, I don't have a running catalog. I have it in my notebook here of every team and their star players and the linebackers. I can assure you probably in this notebook somewhere is, Texas's linebackers and Georgia's linebackers and this and that. What I said is possibly the best starting linebacker duo in the SEC. Not it is, not it isn't, it could be. Do we know? No, we don't know. We haven't seen Whit Weeks and TJ Dottery play alongside each other in the same game on the same team. And we haven't seen some of these other guys play in the same unit on the same team. Like Texas has transfer linebackers. Some of these other schools have transfer linebackers. And all these fans are like, dude, you're an idiot. You can watch football. Did you watch any Ole Miss games? What I said is possibly. We'll check back at the end of the year. I might look like an idiot. I might not. I didn't commit to it. I didn't say in cement this is. I said it could be. So I don't know. I think we need to rewrite what possibly means in Webster's dictionary because people don't seem to understand.
I know you're new to the South, but Mississippi and Louisiana don't have the highest education scores, my guy. Like it's
Look, and I'm not going to get involved because going back and forth with fans, you're never going to win. So I'm not even going there.
It's going to turn into something else.
Crazy to me. It's just crazy. People are like, dude, you're stupid. Are you kidding me? I'm like, guys, it's just a take. I'm just saying it could be. We don't know. That's it.
And the funny thing about it is, like, I actually saw that post from one of the other fan bases. Guy's actually not that bad. He's a pretty cool guy, actually. I've got to talk to him a little bit. Saying, get your screenshots, get your receipts, anything like that. Bookmarks. And it's like, I'm like, I didn't even comment. I'm like, that's the stupidest thing ever. Because the same people last year were singing his praises when he led the SEC in tackles. It's like, just because.
Which is not an easy thing to do, man. Leading the SEC in tackles, maybe a lot of those were behind the line of scrimmage, but that's your job as a linebacker is to make tackles and stop plays, usually at or a little bit past the line of scrimmage. I mean, that's nothing to just scoff at. Like, what?
Oh, you mean tackles for a loss isn't valuable? What is wrong with people?
Right. Yeah, those are important too, but that's not a linebacker's main objective, I wouldn't think. That's more of a defensive tackle's job is to get TFLs.
But the fact that a linebacker's getting through the line, filling a hole, filling the gap, and getting to the running back or the quarterback, sign me up.
I'll say this. You remember that check down play on third down to Caleb Jackson where it was one-on-one? Dottery blew him up and forced a punt. And he did that many times that game.
I feel so bad for Caleb
I think
Jackson.
People are just having a case of he left the team, so we hate him / now he's no good, you know? And that doesn't happen at LSU a ton because usually when guys transfer out, it's because they weren't good enough to play here. Not in all cases, but in most cases, right?
Yeah.
But in today's day and age, sometimes you just leave for a better opportunity or a better team or a bigger paycheck. And so it's hard to handle that some places.
Some places can't handle the fact that you left and they sue you. But at the same time, the way I look at it is like this year, you can say that more about this year. Guys not cutting it. I don't think maybe one at the most two guys that Lane and the coach staff wanted to keep left.
Mm-hmm.
If they left, it was probably more of a reason that they weren't really going to have a roster spot available. For them when the time came. And my second favorite thing with the English language, well, it's not really English language, watching you a minute ago, and I've been doing it, everyone else I watched been doing it. I just give up. I call him Prince Will, but everyone working on umami yelling and like slowly getting it out. That's one of my favorite things lately.
Well, that's important for us is to get the names right. And I did a lot of play-by-play in college, so I really try to pronounce people's names correctly. And sometimes I hear people say it. I'm like, wait, am I saying it wrong? But then I go back to the TV broadcast and I listen to what the ESPN guys are saying. And Lord knows if they get it wrong, something's up. And, and that's the biggest part of the job is saying people's names right. So, that one hasn't been an issue for me that much. But, sometimes you come across some really tough ones. That's probably the toughest one on this roster. If I had to guess off the top of my head.
I'm going to ask you about one more player because I want to ask you about Delane's little brother. I want to talk to you about Pickett and Woodland, but I don't want to keep you forever. But the one guy that I am high on, like Walter White meth high on, is Ty Benefield.
Wait, but Walter White, did he even ever smoke or inject the drug that he?
I don't think he ever did it, but boy, from what I heard, that stuff was potent. I mean, I never been to Arizona, but I heard it was good.
Yeah. I'm just busting your chops.
Oh no, do it, man. Ty Benefield. I am the one who knocks. That sounds like TJ Dottery to me. I'm the one who knocks. He's the one who gets behind the line. But Ty Benefield too. Really? So the thing that gets me about him, that like everyone who watches me, I'm never hyperbolic whatsoever. And if you don't understand what that word means, is I don't, exaggerate at times, because we know the English language is hard for people. But I'm not hyperbolic ever, right? Yes, I am all the time. I said if Ty Benefield could be a ball hawk, he's not going to be Honey Badger, but we're going to see signs because he has that ability to lay the wood. He can cover, because I've went and watched games from his tape last year. He can cover. He can lay the wood. Can he ball hawk? That's kind of what I'm wondering. What do you think about that?
Yeah. Haven't seen a ton of opportunities for him to do that. And I went back and watched some of his Boise State tape as well. And it was more so his ability to track down where the play was going. And then when he has a chance to make a play, like tackle in space, not letting a guy get extra yardage, a little bit of coverage. Maybe that's what he's trying to work on and improve. And I don't even know if they're going to require him to do a whole bunch of that. AJ Halsey had plenty of opportunities to do that last year, though, right? And he was a stud. I mean, not only with the open field tackling for the most part, but also with just kind of telegraphing plays and then actually making it happen when the ball was in a position to be intercepted and then returning it. Like he did that a bunch of times, and that's why he got drafted and is an NFL player. And I think that Benefield's headed in the same direction. I can't think of a time, and maybe I'd have to go back and check my notes, where I've seen him pick off a pass or get involved in that sense, but I certainly feel like he has that ability, and he's bound to be put in that situation at some point as a safety and in this defense, helping over top and coverage and things like that. But man, they've been high on him since the beginning, like they singled out 3 guys in the spring as like ultra elite players. Tradez was one. There was somebody else, maybe it was Pickett, and Benefield was another. And this is a guy that had just arrived really from Boise State, a guy that they went out and pursued and brought here. But you don't expect them to leave that big of an impact right away or make that big of an impact right away. But he clearly, based on what he does on the field, not on the field, has made that impression upon the coaching staff. And it's kind of just been, it's almost like something we've talked about ad nauseum at this point, is Ty Benefield is expected to be a stud in this defense. That's been something that's been a storyline since the beginning. And it's almost like one of those things where it's a given at this point. Like we just expect that to happen on the first game of the season, So I got high hopes for what he can do. I think he's going to be an eraser back there for sure. And maybe has the ability to be a playmaker as well. He copied the Honey Badger's hair, which is something that I guess Matthew had kind of impressed upon him, is maybe doing that, So, that'd be awesome to see.
And I blame Tyron for putting that thought in my head, because as soon as I saw the picture of him with the blonde hair, I was like, ooh, if he can.
That was intentional. And I don't know if you watched the podcast.
I did.
That. Yeah. He brought that up, I think. Like he came up and he met Ty and they had a little bit of a conversation together and stuff. And now he's copying the hair. And I love it, man. So I'm really excited. Something else, though, I kind of thought Tamarcus Cooley would just come back and be the starter again. He started all 13 games last year. But Jace Thomas, second-year player from Destrehan's, apparently getting a lot of run at that other safety spot, too. So they might have a bit of a rotation there. I don't know that Cooley is just the incumbent guy. He might be getting a run for his money.
And speaking of that, what gets me the most excited about this defense, I played linebacker. I wasn't a college football linebacker, I'll be honest. I'm white. I'm like 6 foot tall. I was 175 pounds. I wasn't a college linebacker. But I love defense. And what gets me excited about this year with them is they're not going to have to be on the field for 3/4 of the game, a little bit more than half. Like imagine Blake Baker's defense with Lane Kiffin's offense. Now, they're going to be quick. Like they're going to eat up a lot of clock, but that's just going to help the defense not be on the field. It's not going to be straight up, no huddle rush, any kind of offense, but they're going to get a breather.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to have the ability to have a Jace Thomas, Jamarcus Cooley rotate in and out in packages. Like, it was the tale of two teams. In 2023, if you'd have had a defense, you win a national championship. Last year, if you'd have had an offense that could last more than a three and out, or 4 plays and a pick, maybe you make a run for the playoff, not win a national championship.
Yeah.
Like,
that's what was really frustrating me when I was watching that Ole Miss game back, is that in the first half, the first 3 quarters, Blake Baker's defense was getting off the field. Like, they had shut down, by and large part, Lane's offense. And the only real way that Lane's offense went and scored is there were drive extending penalties and bad field position. There was just zero complimentary football last year, like, at all. And that had to be super frustrating. Like last year in that Ole Miss game, I think it was Halsey, punched the ball out on the goal line, touchback, ball back to the offense. Or maybe it was Witt. Somebody punched the ball out on the goal line, prevented a touchdown. LSU comes out and goes 3 and out. Oklahoma, Harold Perkins gets the pick, runs it back to the 3, and Michael Van Buren, I believe, throws an interception. They get no points. Like, that just has to be so infuriating. And obviously, like, you don't want that to affect you, but it has to at a certain point. Like, can you guys do anything to help us out here? The same thing in 23 with the defense for sure. Like, guys, we scored 49 points in Oxford, and we walked out of here with an L. Like, how does that happen? Are you kidding me? So, yeah, I think that there will be much more – I don't even know if this is a word, speaking of the English language – complementation. This year, we'll create that one. People can go crazy with that one on Twitter, whatever.
I'm putting it in my Rolodex.
Yeah, let's just roll with it, So I think there will be more complimentary ball. Like, you get me a turnover, we're getting points off the turnover, best belief, or at least flipping the field position. I think that's going to be there, just because I think you don't have a quarterback with 1 oblique, and I think you're going to have a better offensive line, and I want to say you're going to have a more balanced scheme and an ability to run the football, so that's going to help a lot. But that's something that just was really annoying to watch last year. It's just how imbalanced the scales were between the two sides of the football. And I will say this, I think people think Lane's offense is up and down the field, track meet, first 1 to 40 wins. That's not always the case. That game against LSU last year, some of their touchdown drives were long, time gouging drives. So I think Lane has a good understanding of the situation. Some games, yeah, you might have to score 40 points to win, like in their playoff win last year. I know he wasn't there, but Charlie Weiss was the play caller and stuff, right? And but there's other games where it's ball possession, it's run the football. He talked about this in his press conference. It's 1 possession games. So I think it's having a pulse for the game and a feel for the game, and kind of structuring how you're attacking this thing. But I think that LSU has the ability to win a track meet if everybody, if all goes to plan, health is there, the offense comes together. But they also have the ability to win a defensive game with this defense, I believe, in the retention they have there and the chemistry on that side of the ball. So, yeah, I know people are like, hey, LSU can win the national championship this year. Everybody has high expectations just because of the money they've put into the team and who's coaching and all the hoopla. But when you really think about it, the recipe, it's there. Like, they have what they need, I think, to really make this happen if some of the variables go their way.
I started losing my mind because it's not you, it's other people talking about the money. And LSU is not even near the top of money spent in the country on rosters, but no one else talks about it. And like talking about Lane and his schemes and, talking about Charlie being there for the playoff game and not Lane. One of my favorite things Lane has said since coming here is saying, hey, this is Charlie's offense. I guide him. I'm his mentor, like that type of deal. But it's his offense. Yeah. And I think people get this one-track mind on coaches with their style. And it's like you're playing college football 27 or Madden, and it's like this style coach and this type, this balance of run pass and this type like spread or pro or whatever. I don't think Lane has a cubby you can stick him in. Because why? Because think about the LSU game. Why would you do long, drawn-out drives? Their offense ain't going to run.
Nothing.
So I'm going to keep them on the field. At the end of the day, they'll be tired.
Yep.
And I could just go and go and go. And
look, if there's a big play and for a touchdown, you're going to take it. But Ole Miss was just running the football, and LSU's defense got tired. So they were just picking up first downs and benefiting from some timely penalties, too, to just extend drives. So the time of possession, if you go back and look, I don't know it off the top of my head, but I'm sure it was very imbalanced. And that's what I'm trying to say is that same way with baseball, like you need to be able to win every style of game. LSU couldn't do that last year. Football, you need to be able to win different styles of games because every opponent's going to be different. Every game's going to be different. The ball's going to bounce different ways on different days. So you need to be able to win a defensive struggle the same way you need to win an offensive shootout. And I think that what they have on the roster and the coaches on this staff, they have the ability to execute in any of those situations on paper and at face value.
And going back to that 23 game, LSU almost still won that game. Just slipped through the hands of Chris Hilton. Hilton.
The thing is, they were up by 10 in the fourth quarter with like 10 minutes to go, I think. They had all the momentum. Yeah.
I was the idiot who thought
had to throw beer bottles onto the field, which means they weren't having a good time. And they ended up winning.
And you still lost it. And then, I was the idiot last year because the game started, I was at work. I ended up leaving work during the first quarter. And I think we had went up 7-0. I think we scored first, if I remember correctly.
On some fluke touchdown. Yeah.
Some fluke touchdown to Bauer Sharp. Bauer Sharp had a long play down the middle, and then they scored, right?
He didn't score on it. It was it was a tip drill. It was a poorly thrown fade ball to Trades Green.
That's right.
Tipped it to CJ Daniels, just how Joe drew it up. I'm just kidding. Yeah. So, and Lane even said multiple times during the game on those interviews they do that was a fluke touchdown. So you could tell it really pissed him off.
I don't want to keep bagging on Joe Sloan, but I can't remember.
I'm not either. It was a poorly the play was designed to go to Trades. It was a very poorly thrown ball.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. I can't remember the guy's name right now, top of my head. The new head coach at Kentucky,
Will Stein.
When Stein came out and said, "Oh, I'm not calling plays. That's Joe Sloan's job," I went, "Ooh, Kentucky, you're in for a."
Well, we don't know. We truly don't know. Like LSU had a pretty good offense in 24. It was all right. I wouldn't say it was terrible. I wouldn't say it was great. It was kind of middle of the pack. And then last year, there's things you can point to. Like we don't really know who's to blame, and maybe it's a combination of things. So I call it the curious case of Joe Sloan. I said groovy earlier when we were in the DMs setting this up, which kind of reminds me of Scooby Doo. If you're pulling the mask off the villain, and Joe's not a villain, but just work with me here. We don't know what's under that mask. Like, we truly don't. Is Joe Sloan a good OC, good play caller? Let's not forget, he mentored. He was the quarterbacks coach of Jaden Daniels when he won the Heisman those couple years. And there's other guys that he's mentored that have turned out to be pretty good. So we're going to get a good indication this year, in the coming years, of how good Joe Sloan actually is at play calling and drawing some stuff up. Because there's times that fall spring camp behind closed doors, not on TV, that they had some good stuff, I will say. And
and if we were to pull the mask off of the last tenure here, I think BK. I just don't I hear Lane talk about a CEO head coach, and I almost like start twitching. I'm like, I don't want to hear that, Lane. But as far as transitioning from the previous regime to now, right? The coup de grace, people giving him grief for a number drives me insane. But what has been how would I put it, climate around the building, practice, the players, as far as the culture and Lane Kiffin is reinstituting into this program versus the previous regimes?
Yeah, it's hard to know just because we're not in the locker room. And, I think there's a lot of posturing and PR that goes on in the world these days. And people kind of put on a show when you're not there. That's really not how things go, which I hate, but that's how it is. But I just think it's all business, man. And Lane said this the other day. There hasn't been any really off the field issues with the team. Like nobody's driving 150 miles an hour in a Charger down River Road, getting pulled over and arrested. Nobody's getting in accidents, criminal stuff like that. It's not BK's fault, but that stuff did happen the past couple of years. Like there were things that happened in the off season, that were a distraction. There really hasn't been any of that. The only thing that's happened or come up has been Ole Miss suing 2 of its former players. That's really the only thing. And that's a top-down thing, Like if you're demanding excellence from the players, the coaches need to demand that of themselves. And, I don't put a ton of stock into this stuff, but it does matter. The coaches working out, the coaches wanting to get into shape, Lane not drinking alcohol, Lane staying off social media, like all these little things. I mean, they might seem like nothing, and I don't necessarily enjoy talking about them because it's not sports and football related. No. But these are things that, that happen and can lead to having a better practice, a more intentional practice, a deeper dive game plan. So it starts with the top and it works down. Like if you see your coach not putting in full effort or your boss not putting in full effort, you lose respect for him, and that's not an environment you want to be a part of. But I think that this thing has just been contagious among everybody.
And that's kind of where I'm getting at is, because like my favorite, like we didn't have any of those per se drama areas with BK, but like the biggest story, because everybody thought Lane coming here, there's going to be story, there's going to be drama. And the biggest thing is, he's used the private plane that's in his contract to use. Great. You're bored. Leave it alone. And it's funny, like talk about posturing, and you can see it with Lane having some posturing, having some media training. But at the end of the day, Lane, I think, is a guy you can watch, during a press conference. It doesn't stick because he doesn't coach speak. He's gonna answer it the way he wants to answer it, like just the way he answered. Yeah, or not. Or like when he answered the question about I can't remember what the question was, but he started talking about can't remember now. But he put on this long, like we're all gonna die. It's like he went to there.
That was in response to the Vanity Fair question.
Yeah. Like it just does. And I don't think that was a way for him to get out of the question. It just went through his head that day.
Yeah.
And he was just like, yeah, we're all gonna die one day.
Well, I think he's just done kind of caring about what people think about him. And he said he regrets what he had said. And obviously you don't want to get into that. Yeah. It's a very deep-rooted topic. And there's, as a football coach, I would just stay away from that personally, but I'm not him. I just think that he's locked in and dialed in. Like when he got here, press conference, remember he said, I don't know what my contract is. I don't know how much I'm getting paid. I'm just excited to be here. And it's one thing to say that. It's another thing to exhibit that. And I think he's done a good job of that so far, man. He hasn't won a national championship as a head coach. Like he has things to prove. And Brian Kelly didn't either, but I think they're at different stages of their career, and like this is an opportunity to get there. Like this is a place where you can do that. And not to say Ole Miss isn't, but I feel like the possibility, the percentages are more in your favor at a place like LSU based on factors that Ole Miss doesn't have going for it that LSU does. And Lane has made those very clear several different times when given a microphone and a platform to do so. And that's why he's here. Like I don't know that Ole Miss could have paid him any amount of money to stay there because he has higher goals and aspirations that he's hoping to accomplish here. Many thought the same way that Kelly did when he left Notre Dame to come here, but obviously that didn't work out that way. So he's kind of in that prime right now. People have made the comparison in age to when Saban, was getting rolling. And he and Saban are obviously very close. He's at that spot right now where he still is youthful and exuberant and in that prime where he can really do this thing. And I genuinely believe he's just locked in on doing it because he has a chance to here.
I'm happy you brought that up because it wasn't even just people who brought that up. I was about to bring that up. Mm-hmm. Kiffin brought that up in his opening press conference. He came out and said, look, I'm about to turn 50, or he is 50. And Nick started his run when he was in his early to mid 50s. This person did his run. This person did his run. And it's, crazy to think that you like, no one should ever compare him to Nick Saban. I think Saban is a league of his own.
Oh yeah.
But it's crazy to think you have that next coming because there isn't much Baton Rouge offers. let's just be honest. Like Blue Bayou is never like usually, shut down. And it's not even that great to begin with. But we have football and you have a fan base and you have a group of people who care so much about it to the point where they're having backdoor meetings about how are we going to fund this.
Yeah.
And like even down to like where I'm working right now, the place I'm working at is owned by a company that has a logo on the field and the person on the patch, they're building it for them.
Yep.
Like that's where everything's kind of running through the state is straight there. And I think he sees all the potential and there is no reason to do anything else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
I mean, different, like I don't coach a football team. I'm a sports reporter, and the whole not much to do here. Like if you're locked in on your job and what you're doing, there's plenty to do,
oh yeah.
I don't need a resort and a roller coaster park and 55 skyscrapers with rooftop sushi bars. I got plenty to do. And that's
tsunami.
Well, yes, which is great. I've been there, but you know what I mean? Like, there's plenty to focus your attention on here if you want to be great at what you're doing. And if it's coaching LSU football, man, I mean, there's no shortage of talent. There's no shortage of interest. There's no shortage of investment. The question is, are you going to reciprocate that and make it happen consistently? Because it's there. All you got to do is get in the car and drive it and keep it on the road and not get distracted by the deer running across the street and the exits with the gas stations and the casinos. Just keep that baby rolling down the freeway to wherever the national championship is.
Well, I'll give Baton Rouge this credit. We have more than a Dairy Queen.
Hey, I love
some
it
places.
Here.
Oh, no, I love Baton Rouge. I'm making fun of another town. You didn't get it. I'm making fun of another town.
Oh, which one?
All they got, it rhymes with Oxford. All they have is a Dairy Queen. I've never been. Huh?
It rhymes with Oxford?
It rhymes with Oxford, yeah. Oh, man. So, first of all, I can't thank you enough for coming on tonight, man. I value your time and I value your friendship. When I say you're the best in the state, you are the best in the state. And I trust your football mind. Like, baseball. Don't let people get it twisted. John knows baseball, but you're a football guy. What makes you excited about this season?
I mean, I'm excited for every season. I truly am. I mean, I've been going through 2 college football teams a day, doing the previews, writing down the key players, the stats, all that stuff. It's just something I've always enjoyed. But what excites me about this season is having the chance for the show to be here and being a part of that. Like, I haven't been to a LSU game at home, at least, where it's cranked up to 10, everybody's dialed. Like, we haven't had a meaningful football game in Death Valley in November since 2022, probably, right? Because in 23, 24, 25, your playoff hopes were pretty much done. Before you had a home game in November. You'd already had 3 losses, which pretty much excludes you from the playoff before they expanded it to 12 teams. Now it's more of a possibility. But it'll be exciting if all goes to plan for the excitement to be here when it matters in the end of the season. Like, game day's been here many times. They've done a lot of preview shows and excitement leading into those big games in September and October. But recently LSU is LSU'd and picked up 3 losses and been eliminated before anything really heats up and gets going. So instead of watching the excitement on television and having it be in other towns and sitting here crunching numbers, making arguments about here's how LSU can squeak into the playoff as a 2 or 3 loss team, I'm excited for the possibility of people watching us and Baton Rouge being on display. And hey, LSU is LSU. Because I work with Jacques. I hear it all the time. The great players from 03, from 11, from 19. I wasn't here for any of that. And I really didn't know about it at all because I grew up and I was a Michigan fan, and they weren't very good either in the years I was growing up. So I'm excited to be here for an instrumental chapter of LSU football in 2026, hopefully, the same way we got to experience it with baseball in 25. Like, that was electric, and I hope that we get to see that this year.
Speaking of that, so Clemson having a home opener as big as Clemson right now has me like, I can't wait for September 5th.
Yeah.
I think that place is going to be on tilt.
Yeah.
Lane Kiffin's first exit into the stadium. Clemson comes in. It's still that, Death Valley rivalry, even though I don't think Clemson fans are as boisterous or as rude as other fan bases.
Yeah.
You're going to have the drunk, Coach O's in the stadium, like just going crazy. But if LSU is successful, like you're talking about, and then Texas comes to town, I mean, Landry may have to shut the state down that day.
Yeah.
It's going to be insane.
Yeah. And the potential's been there in the past. LSU just hasn't picked up its end of the bargain, So, yeah, I mean, it's a great home schedule. It's a great home slate. It's a very difficult schedule, but there are so many big games on there this year. It would just be really cool if they held meaning late in the season, when things really have implications. Because in the past, they haven't. It's LSU's playing Vanderbilt today. Yeah, Vanderbilt's not as bad as they used to be, but what are we playing for? An 8th win? Cool. LSU's playing Western Kentucky. Nobody's really here. Nobody really cares. Neither do the players because they only won by 3. So on and so forth. LSU's playing Oklahoma. Oh, they won to finish the season 8-4 and go to the Texas Bowl. Like, I want it to be, hey, LSU, Texas, both have 1 loss. Loser may not make the playoff. Winner just about secures its spot in the playoff. Let's go,
You heard it here first. John Eads predicts 1-loss LSU facing 1-loss Texas in Tiger Stadium this year.
I just threw that out there. I've always pegged this team as 9 or 10 wins and right there on they're 13th in the preseason coaches poll. Like, they're right on
That's big.
Like, the seesaw is sitting like this, and it could tilt this way, could tilt this way. Like, they're right there. So we'll see.
Like, those polls mean nothing. Like, I don't even care about rankings till the college football playoff rankings come out. That's the only one that matters. But that shows the level of respect that the coaches, like the coaches, gave LSU because you're not in the playoff. We haven't seen you yet, but you're right there. Like, people being mad about 13 bewildered me. I was like, who cares for 1? 2, that means that Texas Tech's in front of you. They don't have Brendan Sorsby. You're basically in.
Yeah, I think it's a perfect place to put them because you could see the possibility that they're in the playoff and a top 10 team. But you could also see where with a hard schedule and a lot of newness, they don't. I don't think they're going to fall flat on their face, but they're an 8-4, 9-3, just on the outside looking in. But that's why Vegas. I think the over/under win total is like 8.5, right, or something like that. Like, it's right there too. It's tough. Those 1-score games could be the difference. Are you on the winning or losing side of those?
And there's a reason why they have those chandeliers in Vegas as well. It ain't because they put out bad bets.
They ain't free. Yeah.
No, it ain't. Yeah. What you got going on game time soon? What you got going on with that?
Yeah. My big focus this summer has been high school football. So I brought in some of the best players in the state in the area. And I see them all the time and I'll do interviews with them in the field sometimes in their pads for 5 to 10 minutes, but I like to really sit down and just kind of chat with them for longer and really get to know them and their journey and what they're really like, not just as a football player and profile them too, show all this footage that we gather through the season that we can't put on TV all the time. So that's been a big focus of mine. I just about finished that up because they're all going back to school now and they're busy and getting into season, but we had a chance to really dive into that, which I was excited about. And Jock's got this new live show. I know you've been watching a lot, so we'll probably help out with that a lot. And maybe try to get some baseball stuff in too. I did a few off-season interviews last year with a few guys. Maybe I'll try to do some more of that stuff. But yeah, we're kind of locked in on high school football and college football right now. It's that time of year.
It's hard for me to pull. Yeah, it's hard for me to pull away from baseball, especially with everything that Jay and this team did this year. Like Jay, this is supposed to be my football time. You're impeding that. I'm working on getting interviews with Ahmad Hudson and these other guys, and I can't walk away from it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw it, dude. I keep telling people this, and it's not me just trying to boost numbers. the Eddie Yaman interview I did, if you want to get in the head of Jay Johnson, the first thing I texted Eddie after that interview was, do you want to be a coach one day? He just sounds like Jay. Like Jay's just funneling right through that kid. And he's an awesome kid. Had a great summer. But John, I'm not going to take up any more of your time, man. You've been gracious enough with it. I've kept you longer than I wanted to. Thank you so much for being such a good dude and giving somebody you have to give time to the time, man. I really, really appreciate it.
Likewise. Thanks for giving me a platform all the time. It's always fun to chat.
Oh,
I appreciate all the support you give me and keeping up and sharing my things. And I watch your show all the time and keep up with your content too. So keep up the great work.
I appreciate it, man. If you ever want to have this, if you ever need to come on and show anything, just text me. I'll fire it up. We can go. It's always a pleasure talking to you, man. I can't wait to see you around Tiger Stadium, and I can't wait to see you at the box.
Yes, sir. Fall. Me too. Thanks. Hopefully, Buddy Sanji made this shirt. It says we're keeping receipts. We'll see you in the Natty. Didn't work out for BK, but maybe those receipts can get returned, sometime soon. Albeit
maybe it's a longer return period. You know what I mean? Yeah. Just a longer return period.
Maybe he wasn't wrong. Maybe he wasn't wrong. He was just early.
Could Lane have? What do you think last year's offense does with Lane and Charlie Weiss? And Kevin Smith, who was I wish I would have asked about Kevin Smith. I don't want to take a bit more of your time, but like Kevin Smith is such an unsung hero.
Yeah,
in this whole coaching staff.
Yeah, I like Kevin. He's really vocal, and he's kind of like Blake Baker, but with the running backs. I would play for him for sure. But yeah, I mean, there's no telling if you mix LSU's defense with Lane and his offense, what that team could have. Like, that's a national championship level team, a team that has a top 30, top 40 defense, but also a top 30, top 40 offense. Like, there's numbers that back this up. Like, those are the teams that win the championships, that have both units, ranked highly and complementing off of one another. So hopefully we see that this year, just with a couple different characters, and that marriage come together at LSU.
Now you got me thinking, even with Garrett and an injury, Lane could have schemed around it.
Probably.
I'm not going to talk bad about I told myself the other day, no longer talking bad about the former running backs coach. No longer talking bad about the former running backs coach. I'm not doing it. The optometrist came in. The guys can see the running lanes. I'm not going to pick on the former running backs coach. But Kevin Smith, like, watching his tape coming out of spring, just the guys running through the bags and the way he's coaching them up and talking about vision and moving and this. And then you put on top of that a set it off video in his car. I mean, you can't get any more, like, you can't buy in more than that, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, and I was there a lot, and Frank did a lot of the same stuff. Like, I liked watching him run drills too. Like, he was hands dirty in there. And he was able to relate to the guys as well. So I don't really have anything bad to say about him. I just think that, it all needs to come together. The scheme needs to match. The personalities need to match. You need to have the guys in the offensive line room. The offensive line needs to be coached the right way. You got to have a healthy quarterback. Like, all of these things need to tie together and work together, pulling in the same direction. And I just think last year, different things were pulling people in different directions, and it just didn't look good. But you could see the flashes, because you had such talented athletes that every once in a while they would run their way into a touchdown. But the other 80% of the time, it was just a whole lot of, what is this? So
the pass to Barry Brown.
It's like when I was growing up, I really liked Lucky Charms, but I wouldn't eat the Lucky Charms. I would just eat the marshmallows. I wouldn't eat everything else that was in the Lucky Charms. That's how the offense was last year. Every once in a while, you dig out one of those marshmallows and it tasted good, but most of the time it was the other, I don't know what it was, the grains, the actual cereal, and I didn't like it, and it wasn't very exciting. That's what it was last year. So you're hoping this year with the offense, it's Cocoa Puffs, because every piece of that cereal you enjoy eating if you like Cocoa Puffs, because it's the only thing in there.
You're making me laugh, because I'm looking at a box right now of Ghost Protein Lucky Charms.
Oh, really?
And they are so good. I'm like, yep.
Yeah, there you go.
Right there.
I don't know. I always make food. Metaphors. Like I was walking out with AP from practice yesterday, talking about the defensive tackles, and he's like, "Yeah, I think there's going to be a good rotation." But I'm like, "Look, you got to have your main courses. It can't just be all supplements and snacks. You got to have guys like 2 defensive tackles that step up and take that position by the stranglehold. So you got to have some chicken breast and some ground beef and some steak. You can't just have bags of chips in that D tackle room. It's always food for me."
LSU isn't Applebee's. This isn't any Tigers menu. Lane goes to Colonel's Club and Supper Club where you have main courses.
Right.
That's what we're going to have.
Yep. Sounds good to me. I already ate dinner. I might have another one now.
Oh, well, you can do that. I need to watch the weight. That's the reason why I'm eating protein cereal. I need to stop being such a fatty. But
I didn't even know they made that. It sounds good.
Oh, dude, it's fire. Target right there by you. John, again, man, I can't thank you enough, but yeah, we'll talk again soon. We'll get together again.
Yep. I'm not hard to get in touch with. You know that. So
yeah, make sure y'all go follow John Eads. It's not right now, but I'm going to be in the description. All of his links to all of his social medias. Go check out the Game Time podcast over there on the WAFB 9 YouTube channel and give him a follow. You won't regret it. He's the hardest working man in Louisiana doing anything sports media related. I'm not just blowing smoke up his skirt. He really is the hardest working man here. He deserves it, and you're not going to regret ever following.
Thank you, Paul. Appreciate that, brother. Just doing what I love to do, baby. I'm glad I know what that is, and I found it, and I'm doing it here. It's a great place to do it. So let me just say, this was possibly the best show we've ever done. Possibly. So
possibly. The internet. I was sitting there going, ooh, the internet. But it worked out. It came back together. Hey, we got to stay on the track. The lane train is coming. We got to stay on the track. It's all good. We're going to figure it out. I'm going to buy you a Starlink, and I'm going to send it to your apartment.
Works for me. Yeah, works for me. Sorry about that.
Oh, no, dude, you're fine.
Get it done, so
hearing your voice and spreading the goal you spread, don't need video. You make me look better when you're staticky anyway. So
whatever you say. All
right, but we did some rest. We're going to call it a night, guys, and I'll see y'all next Tuesday. And we're going to have another special guest next week, bringing in some more people around LSU football. Make sure we get a good perspective of everything going on, even with the limited availability. Remember, God loves you, and all he wants you to do is love him back. Y'all have a great day. Peace. Go Tigers.